loosen up.
Okay, listen up.
Loosen up. Right off the bat, you gotta loosen up.
Right off the bat.
I wanted to sit down with you.
I don't know where to look because it's over there and the mom is over here. So
Yeah, just look at me.
okay, just look here.
And if you start to look elsewhere, you can look at the camera if you want, but you don't have to. Hello, Mommy.
Hello, daughter. Who's also a mummy.
Somebody asked you recently,
Yeah.
how do you maintain a relationship with your adult children?
I mean, for me, that's easy because I really like you guys. You know, if you really like your children, you want to be around them. First of all, I like young people, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I like really old people and really young people. I love the wisdom that comes with older people. I love young people because they're just so interesting. I mean, people often say, wow, you know, gosh, you're going to help one of your kids again. For us, it's really a joy.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. People think, oh, you know, what a great service, what a great service. For us, it's a joy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, joy should be service, but, you know, we don't always see it that way, right?
That's really what children want. Their parents to want to spend time with them. If I think back on a lot of memories from childhood, those are my happiest ones. When your parent is totally present with you, that's everything you're trying to get.
We had a lot of things to help us. So we lived in countries where, for instance, there was no power. So we'd all have to huddle. And we lived in difficult countries sometimes, difficult in terms of challenging with the infrastructure. So it meant that we huddled a lot. There were not always a lot of friends around, so we were each other's helpmates and friends and sources of comfort.
It bears mentioning that we lived in places where we often had help. Like, I just read this article on NPR. They introduced this term allo parents, which means other parents. And
see,
how
that's
every
why I
child...
like young people. Because they're always giving me something new. Allo parent.
Allo parents. ALLO parent.
Oh.
So it's this. It means other parent.
Right.
And it's this idea that on average, a child really, in order to thrive, needs like 8 to 12 adults in their life who are caring for them, kind of as if they're their parents. So aunts, uncles, neighbors, grandparents.
We didn't have aunts, uncles.
No, we didn't have that, but you did have support. I think a lot of parents will probably be like, it's hard for me to be present. I have 1 million jobs. I have to clean the house. I have to cook every meal.
Exactly,
And you did have support in that way.
Yeah, and it made parenting more fun. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it had its moments. Dad traveled a lot, but it was a lot more fun.
I remember before getting pregnant, before deciding to have kids, I hated hearing from parents that you just become more efficient, because one of my biggest stressors about having kids was how am I going to have time to be creative? And the answer I would always get is like, you become more efficient as a parent. The idea of efficiency terrifies me.
Like, always terribly boring.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to become efficient. That sounds horrible.
But then watching really efficient people and you know, we know some in our lives who are incredibly efficient, we get so much more done. Actually. Yeah.
Wait, I want to come back to how have you been able to maintain a relationship with your adult children?
Right.
I have some ideas.
Yeah.
But I want to hear if there's anything else you think you've done.
Well, as I said, because I find you guys so interesting. I want to know everything about your day. Everything to me is interesting. Some people say, you know, parenting is a process of loss, but for me it's a process of growth. It's a growth for you, but it's also watching this flowering of your child, and then your adult child, and then your child as a mother. You know, you just see they're continuing to grow, and that is, when you're seeing that, it's like absolute joy.
That's so sweet.
Huh.
Yeah, I do feel like having Anais has it's given me like a jolt of creativity. Because there's just, my creativity is really tied to what I'm experiencing. Because I create stuff based on what I'm thinking about, what I'm feeling, and you feel so much. Of course, you have a child. There's so many new things that you're thinking about, and so I feel like what I was nervous about with like not having enough time for creativity, it's true I have less time, but I have more ideas. You know, I just have more things to talk about.
Yeah. And as you're talking, I'm thinking another thing that happens as you get older, as you realize the time that you're going to feel vibrant, every day you're going to feel less vibrant probably. So you're aware of time just slipping by, and you just want to make the most of every moment, and you want to be as present as you can. Because as a parent, when you're a young parent, you're constantly exhausted, but I'm at a stage now where I'm not exhausted. But that's not going to be forever. And so I want to make the most of being with my children, really, truly, and grandchildren now. You know, while I still have my faculties. Next time I'll be, repeating myself and.
I can't think about that. I can't imagine that. Like,
well,
I don't
remember
know
when I pretended to be an old person, and Callum used to really be upset. How are you? But that's becoming ever, more present.
Really, you feel older?
Yeah, I mean, well, obviously, and that's.
I mean, you don't seem it. That's why
it's not that I'm dreading I'm dreading losing my faculty.
Yeah.
Which that is somewhat terrifying, but that's another video.
Yeah.
It's
that
aging.
Is another video, aging. You should do that.
Especially when your kids are at the prime of their lives and you just want to experience, that. But I know that I will also experience that from from the other realms, the realms above, or however you want to refer to the next world. So it's But, so it isn't, why do you have to be on this world to see, it's this world is the next world. It's all around us.
That did cross my mind the other day because we look so alike. And I was wondering, like, I wonder what that's like for Mom to see me walking around.
Yeah.
And does that bring you back to your youth? Does it make you feel not envious, obviously, but just like, I don't know, aware of the passage of time that your daughter is now.
It doesn't. It gives me so much joy, really. As I said before, it gives me so much joy, to see you. I'm just so grateful that I've been blessed to be able to see these, important passages of time in your life. Becoming a mother, previous to that getting married, previous to that graduating, all these. I'm so grateful for every moment.
And let's be honest, you are in a good stage of life. Don't you feel that, or no?
Oh, definitely. Like
you have some freedom.
Yeah, I have freedom. We have enough resources to be able to enjoy that freedom.
I think one of the reasons you've been able to uphold a relationship with your adult children, well, first of all, we feel that sense of that you're interested in the things that we're doing, and so we're inclined to share them with you because you show it enthusiasm for them in the same way that we would. You are excited for us together, we celebrate together, we cry together, you want to be intimately acquainted with our lives. There's that, but also I think a lot of people I know don't feel that they can be open with their parents about frustrations. And I don't know about Callan or Syria, they're different people than me, but I feel very comfortable to share with you when I'm upset about something or when something rubbed me the wrong way. And I do it pretty much right away, for better or for worse. Sometimes it's too much.
I was saying to Dad yesterday, because all you three are different. I would say that Callan shares probably the least, but I see it in his being. I feel very linked to him. I don't want to cry. Syria, I can tell too, just from her tone of voice and the way her movements, and with you, what is extraordinary about you is that when something is, you don't like something, you're like a therapist. You just, you don't deal with it head on, but you ask questions. Or you say, you play devil's advocate. And it's so useful, actually, in a relationship. And I was thinking, that's a great thing to carry into your relationship. And I was thinking, who did she get that from? But actually, Dad is, I've always, that's a whole other video, is my relationship with Dad, is that Dad is an amazing therapist.
Yeah.
He just, I'd be very crazy without him.
You have built-in therapy.
I have built-in therapy,
Dad.
but yeah. So where do you think you got that from?
I don't know, but I agree. Dad is like that.
Yeah.
He's very good at that. But I think you are also good at that in a different way. But I grew up with you just talking through everything.
Yeah, I'm a talker.
Talk. And I'm not like that with everyone in my life. I'm not confrontational with everyone in my life.
Right.
Actually, it's very hard for me in some areas. Like, in professional settings, it's very hard for me. But with the people I'm closest to, really you and Dad and Syria and David.
Right.
Callan. Like my family.
Right.
I feel that I can very easily confront things.
Yeah, because you know them so well. And and
I know that this relationship will be there. I have a secure attachment to those people in my life. I know that it's going to be okay. We will be okay, but we need to work through this thing. Maybe it's just me like not wanting to be uncomfortable. Like if something annoys me, I'm like, I don't want to deal with this. So let's talk about it.
That's a gift. Dad and I have developed that through the years. We just talk it through immediately.
Yeah.
And so we don't argue anymore because I'll just immediately say, that annoyed me, and then he'll say, well, whatever it is, and it's over. You know? And then we're laughing about it.
Yeah, well, I do think that is what allows us to have such a close relationship because a lot of people I know, they're like, well, I only see my parents once a year or, twice a year for this amount of days. I'm not going to bring up whatever it is that's like frustrating me. But then that just builds and builds and builds and builds to and then there's just more space between them,
Right.
But I feel like I'm invested in having a close relationship with my parents. So I think it's worth it to just, wade through it to talk about the thing. And you allow for it, I think. And I don't know, it does take some time.
Yeah.
Because no one wants to, I'm that way too. No one wants to like admit that, that thing about me or the thing that I said or did was not ideal. But I think we're pretty good at you're very good at accepting it after if I can bring it up in a very gentle loving way, you're very good at accepting it, and I can't say that about a lot of parents.
Trying to think of all the things, so it's liking your kids and being interested in their lives, wanting to be around them,
being open to gentle critique.
Another thing is, and this is maybe difficult to share, I wasn't so close to my siblings for a number of reasons, and I don't know why, because I had wonderful parents, but through the years I didn't have that closeness. I really wanted that. I cultivated it. I think Dad did have that. He had cousins too, and they were a really close family. I loved that about his family. When I did meet my cousins in Bermuda, it was like, oh, I've missed out that I didn't have that. I love a happy family, a family that is close.
Yeah.
And I wanted to create that. I know that when Dad and I got married.
I want that too. That's like the greatest joy of my life. I said to David last night, just out of the blue, I said, my sister is my best friend. I love her.
See, that for me, I could die right now. Just that. That you have that. That is a relationship you'll have throughout all the worlds.
I know.
And sometimes I think that some of the relationships that I've had that have not worked out well on this plane of existence will sort itself out in the next plane of existence. But why can't I do it on this plane of existence? That's a failure on my part. That's a great failure on my part. And how much effort I should put so much effort in trying to heal those wounds. Yeah. But it's sometimes not easy because it takes two. This is the issue always. And often the timing is not right for the other person. Or
absolutely. No, I was going to say that, I wouldn't, if we had done this video 8 years ago, I couldn't have said that. Right. That Syria and I have not always been close. We've been close, but I couldn't have always said we're best friends.
Not to the point where you call each other 3 or 4 times a day.
Yeah, and there was a time where we were living in the same city, and I wouldn't have been able to say that. Yeah. Because Syria was putting in effort, but I wasn't.
I was about to say, because Syria wanted it, I remember. Yes. I remember feeling sad for Syria. I know. And that was a difficult time in her life too. I know. And she needed... Well, she could have done with your wisdom.
It's not just random. It has to be effort on both sides. Right. The timing has to be right, like you said. Right. Syria and I became really close when I stopped teaching, and it's just a practical thing. I had time to talk to her during the day. There's a time difference, and I was calling you on my way to work, and you're in Europe, and then when I would finish work, she'd be asleep. So really, we only talked on the weekends, if that. Right. But then when I started having a flexible job, we could talk more. Right. So it's also just like physical factors, that allow for communication
and the other thing I would say is that you have to make the time. As you say, you have to make the time. I always feel somewhat embarrassed that we go on these vacations, but I do it for a reason. Yeah. One thing that I learned that from my mother. She made the effort, even when they couldn't, with 5 kids, it was expensive to have to go to France and Switzerland and all the places we went. But she said it's important to do it. And so I learnt that from her. That is really something I'd forgotten that we did as children. We always went away as a family. Yeah. And we had, my best memories actually are of those, holidays in a place called Carré-le-Rouet. A small little town outside of Marseille. And, just the time we had as a family. Yeah. So those memories are really important, I felt, or at least for me, and to create a family unit, a strong family unit, so you can carry that legacy on. Yeah, I would say create it. Even if you didn't come from that, you create it. That has to be important to you. Yeah. And you have to take the time. Yeah. And if you don't, you miss it. And it isn't so many years. If you think of how many holidays you have with your kids. And I mean, it doesn't necessarily, a holiday can be going camping in the garden. I remember one year my parents became obsessed with tents, and we went and we always wanted to go away with the tent, but we realized we weren't campers. But the thing was, the funnest night was that one night, with the family all trying to camp out in the garden. Sweet. So it doesn't have to be an expensive exercise. Yeah. But it's the going to a place where you're all together, where you're all in the car. It's the journey in the car. Yeah. It's
time in close quarters.
That's right. Sometimes
where nobody has anything else to do. Kind of like nobody. Because if you're just at home, right? Somebody's working. Somebody's But
I was going to say, when Syria missed her flight yesterday, I thought, oh well, it'll be wonderful. They'll be all in the hotel together, having the hotel dinner compliments of the hotel. Yeah. And they'll all be huddled in that room. Yeah. And those were, remember our memories, where it happened to us so often that our flights got cancelled and we were stuck in wherever.
Just make use of those.
Make use of those moments. Remember, one of the best ones was when we got upgraded.
I don't remember that.
We got upgraded to business at Terminal 5. It was
brand new. I remember that.
How do you forget that?
Oh my God, that was amazing.
And all of us together in Terminal 5, brand new,
business
class.
British Airways business class lounge. Oof, I never knew. I saw how the other half lived. I never knew that was a thing.
Exactly.
I was gonna ask one question because you said one of the things is to be interested in your kids,
right?
To like your kids,
right?
Everybody loves their children,
right?
But I think probably for some people it's not natural right away to be interested in what their kids are interested in. So how do you think someone can, if they want a close relationship with their children throughout their years, they want to be interested, but they're not, what can they
later
do?
In life? Well, I know early in life I have some ideas on that.
Yeah.
You know, which is, you know, you spend time with your kids, you put your kids to bed, you talk to them. I think later in life it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Pick up the phone, you know, go and spend some time with them. Take walks with them.
Yeah.
I mean, just the other day with Callum, you know, he took a little bit of time away from his work and we just went and sat and had coffee.
Mm-hmm.
For me, just that little act, it's nothing, but it meant so much.
Yeah.
You know? So it doesn't have to be a big thing. It doesn't have to be that you go on a vacation. It can be just that act.
Yeah.
Or it can be a conversation that you took, you know, 10 minutes out of your day to have with your child in a place where there's not a lot, you know, happening, so that you can concentrate on each other.
Right.
Time is a big one. Is it quantity of time? No, I think it's quality of time. But that does require some quantity of time. Can't just be just snippets.
Yeah. I was going to ask, are there any times when we're having a conversation and you have to feign interest? I'm sure there is. I'm just wondering if people who really aren't interested naturally in something their kid is telling them, like, is it, I think it's worth pretending to be interested.
A couple of times. I mean, you know, I love design, as you know, but I don't know so much about architecture.
Yeah.
And sometimes Callum's describing building, but because I love him so much.
You listen.
I love the enthusiasm and I love the technical expertise that he has. So there's admiration and there's, you know, and even with Dad, sometimes he's talking about something, but I love Dad and I love that he's interested in that.
Yeah.
So that's what it is.
I feel that with you sometimes. Sometimes you're talking about something and I have to tell myself, Sophie, pay attention and listen and interact.
What is it that I'm talking about that you do?
No, just
I'll try not to talk about
just occasionally, and it happens with everybody.
Right.
But I think it's worthwhile. It's like what John and Julie Gottman talk about with the bids for affection. You know, like when somebody is telling you about something that is important to them, whether they're interested in it or it's something they're going through, but you kind of like don't care so much. It's
in fact
worthwhile to actually just reorient yourself and be like, I want to pay attention and interact with this conversation to build more of a relationship with this person.
Exactly. And then when I heard that or I read it, I thought, well, because I don't think I've rolled my eyes when Dad's been talking.
Yeah.
It may not be something I'm interested in, but I'll just love that he's interested in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there's some good tips in there.
Yeah. You're very far away.
I know, I love
it's like a king. That's why I never wanted a king bed.
Oh, it's lovely.
I love you.
Thank you for doing that with me. No. Talking about feigning interest, I know you weren't interested in doing this.
No, it brought up some things I hadn't thought about. You know?
Yeah, it was good, huh?
So, you know. Oh, and there's your baby out there.
I know.
With David.